Hello there, DotA, back with another replay review of one of my games. This time I'm looking at myself playing carry Juggernaut. And a couple of comments I got were like, these games you're showing us are like stomps. I made the video of like my Slardar where it popped off, and then I made the video of my Clockwork where I'm ahead of their carry at 12 minutes. What does a game in this patch 7.31D look like when you're behind? Like, how do you make a comeback? And a lot of my games I haven't, they've been kind of like snowbally one way, and like there haven't been a lot of comebacks. So this game is a game as carry where we make a comeback. So in this video I'm playing Juggernaut. Nothing crazy happened like pre 20 minutes. They accrued a little bit of a lead. And what you're going to see here is I just died, and I'm going to respawn and promptly die again. I'm gonna run down mid, nobody on their team's really showing. She should have a ward there. And I die again. So this is gonna put me at 1-3-1. We're down 7k, and this game's gonna continue to spiral out of control a little bit for the next couple minutes. And my thought process is I didn't know they had an Orchid. That was what killed me there. Well, that was given the first time, and then I died again immediately on respawn. Didn't know they had an Orchid, so I'm like, okay, I need my Manta. I cannot show my face anywhere in this game until I get a Manta. So there are a couple things that I'm going to highlight in this video to show how to make this comeback and how I play as the carry to turn this game around. My final kill score at the end, I'm 1-3-1 right now. I end this game 13-3-9. So I don't die again. I go 12-0-8 from this point onward, and we're going to talk about how I do that. And there's going to be 5 things. I'll talk about my items that I go. I'm going to talk about my farming patterns. I'm going to talk about taking fights as basically the fights I take, and how it's really just taking fights as 5 whenever possible. I do not take a full fight without my entire team there for the rest of this game. And then I'm going to talk about staying on the map. I actually do not go to Fountain again for the rest of this game, and this game goes 241-11, so I don't die, but I also don't go back to the Fountain. I have to go back to my base sometimes, take a fight or whatever, but I do not go back to my Fountain. I stay on the map constantly. And then the last thing is just my TP usage. I actually only TP 3 more times this game, and all of them are to our base to then either defend or push out lanes. So let's start watching and see how this goes. So my mode is I just died twice. I don't have my Manta yet. I need my Manta because they've got Orchids. So I'm just dodging. So the important thing to note here is that I am split pushing. And honestly, this fight top where they're pushing with Aegis and they're up 11k gold at this point, I really was not planning on showing up at this fight. Unless they super through. Even though I have Omni without my Manta, I was like, we might just lose a Rax here. I knew we were super behind, and it really was just, I was like, I do not want to show up to any fights before I get my Manta. So notice I pushed in bottom all the way, and I backed off because they stopped pushing, which I thought was kind of weird. I was like, they're not pushing, they must be trying to kill me. So I backed off, and they ended up just kind of not going to kill me, so I just found my way back this way. And this is a fight I kind of go to. I don't have my Manta, so I'm super scared, and I kind of get lucky and don't die here. And my Mars dies, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done here. No other fights happening. If they push, so be it. And I go to a side lane. You'll see this lots of times. My farming patterns are specifically side lanes and dodging where they are. So they are all bottom right now, so I am splitting top. When they were splitting top, I was pushing bottom. And so you'll notice I'm just running down lanes, and I'll only farm convenient jungle camps that don't slow me down. One thing I want to mention is my item build. So I got Phase, I have a wand. You need wand for mana sustain. That's part of mana sustaining. Jug, it's super important. Always buy wand, people. Literally always. And I picked up this windlace. This windlace, I actually bought it at 14 minutes after my Maelstrom. This was not a laning windlace. This was a casual, almost 15-minute windlace to fill a slot, and because you just need to run around and farm camps. If you have an empty slot as carry, you should highly consider picking up a windlace. 15-minute windlace, I picked this up. So this just helps me, get to camps faster, run down lanes faster. So I pushed this all the way into the tower. We have a really good ward. They didn't de-ward. And I have my Manta, so I TP back to Fountain now. Okay, technically I went back to Fountain, but it was only to get my item, right? I TP'd into Fountain, picked up my Manta, which was waiting for me at base, and walked into this fight. We did have to buy back, but I get a good ulti off, and they basically have to run away. You know, they didn't, that's not really a throw by any means. They didn't, like, lose Ursa twice. They lost their offlaner and a support. So we're still behind, right? They did lose one more hero. They lost both their supports. Their invokers, their mid. So again, what do? I farm the nearby ancient camp, and then I'm just going to run down a side lane. And I have my Manta now. I'm not going to be quite as scared as I was before, because I have my defensive item. You know, I see my team's kind of catching this Ursa, but I don't really need to show up because I don't have my Omni Slash. So I pushed in bottom all the way, so did my team. So I'm going to farm backwards now that they're all respawning, and farm all the lanes, or all the jungle camps that are near me. And then I'll run back to bottom to push out the lane again. I see this Dawnbreaker on ward. I don't see the rest of their team, but notice I'm not scared anymore. I get this Manta, and my playstyle completely switched. I'm not afraid to like run into a hero, because actually nothing on their team kills me if I spin TP. I don't know if Ursa doesn't even have a basher yet, so literally nothing cancels my spin TP. Unless I get like chain stun from Fog with Ursa on top of me, I just don't die. So notice I'm just willing to run at this Dawnbreaker. He has to ult out, and I just continue pushing. Here, I don't see any of their team, and I was just showing down here for a long period of time, so I am a little afraid. I'm not sure what they're doing, so I do send my Manta Illusions down a lane. Really good to do that if you're afraid of showing in the lane, and again, I farm my way backwards. Here, I see them top, so I don't have to be afraid to farm my triangle, and if they like kind of hang around top and don't force it, I will just run back to the bottom lane after this jungle camp. But they do show at our high ground, so I do walk back to the base, so I don't have to like TP. Don't have my full Scotty here, but I'm going Scotty next. Scotty this game is really strong with like the shard, because like you slow while you're spinning them, because the Scotty effect applies. And it also just makes you pretty tanky. This game I felt like I just had to survive long enough to get like my spin healing ward down, if that makes sense. Like if I go like my next item is Butterfly. If I had gone straight Butterfly or just like a Basher, it really doesn't give you a lot of HP. And Jug's a little bit vulnerable to being bursted, especially with an Ursa on the other team. So I needed an item that, like, you know, kind of helped me, like, chase them down with the slow effect, and then also just made me, like, super tanky. That's why I went Scotty. So here they overextend without Aegis, and this is kind of the start of their throw. They lose, like, their whole team here. Ursa dies like a moron. Okay, so, you know, we're 8k down now, not 11k. They kind of threw, how do we play from here? So we win a fight. First thing you do is go push out waves. I run straight mid. I think my Puck should have TP'd bottom, actually. There's like 4 dead. I don't know what he's afraid of. And like I was running towards mid. So he should have TP'd, Boots of Travel, TP'd bottom and pushed that in. But you know, that's life. So I'm just going to push out the wave that I'm in. And I'm going to push as hard as I can, you know, until their team's respawning. And then I'm going to reset, right? And here their Invoker goes on me, which is kind of nuts. He has a Hex, so I think he thought he could like Orchid Hex me down. But the Hoodwink was near me, which was lucky. I don't think that I was going to die anyway, because I was super tanky from having the Scotty. So their Invoker feeds a little bit. And here, their Invoker's dead, but so is our Puck. I thought we could do something, and I spun on this guy, and I was like, they're actually not dying, so I just bail. And this is another point where move speed helps a lot, dispel the slow. And this Ursa, like, chases me forever, but because I have this Windlace and this Elven Tunic plus move speed from Manta and Phase, I mean, I'm just running away at, like, 450 move speed. Nobody can catch me. They do another casual feed here. You know, you have to punish the mistakes your opponents are going to make. They're going to make mistakes in your bracket too. And notice here, I was like walking towards Fountain, and I was like, nah. We either fight or I go split push again. Here we get another good catch on their Ursa. They're playing in a really discombobulated way right now, and we're punishing that. The next item I have queued up is Butterfly. This is really important for the evasion. The only thing I'm really afraid of at this point in the game is the Ursa bursting me down like full to 0 with his autos, and the evasion that I'm going to get from Butterfly is just going to prevent that. I'm tanky with the Scotty. The evasion gives me like way more EHP against this Ursa, who like needs to land his autos to do his damage. You know, this guy's not getting like an MKB anytime soon. And I also have the evasion from Elvic Tunic, so it's going to synergize there. But it's just going to make me really hard for their team to kill. So that's why I go for Butterfly next. It's just, I think, the best, at this point, balance item between offense and defense. And if you consider the other options, like there's like Basher, but I'm not really having a hard time like staying on top of their team. None of them like really get away from me too well. And there's like Aghanims, which is like okay, but it doesn't prevent Ursa from like full to zeroing me. So that's why I think Butterfly is the best choice here. And notice I flew out some clarities. I did the math. I flew out a total of 8 clarities from the point where we started, and 2 mangoes at one point. And this is how I never go back to Fountain, as I just fly myself clarities as needed. It's really important that you do this so that you can stay on the map and push out lanes. So here I was going to run top. My puck DP's top. But the Ursa's dead, so you want to put on map pressure. And, you know, this is important because, you know, you gotta not jungle while they're dead, right? You have to get the objectives while their heroes are dead. Here we do a crazy dive. Kind of works out, though, because I guess Ursa doesn't have buyback or doesn't want to use it. Not too much to say about this fight. It kind of, like, becomes really sus around this point, and we should kind of leave. It's, like, really close either way. And I think at the end of this, everybody walks away like nothing else happens. So here I decide it's over. Actually, my puck gets caught and dies. So I TP back to my base, to the lane that's getting pushed in, and I instantly go to push it out. Fly myself out some more clarities. And I'm basically just in farm mode. It's really important for me to like get all these items here. I can't keep walking down this lane because I didn't see them. And, you know, Immortal players are really good. They saw that I was pushing down this lane. And, you know, sometimes they will smoke and run at you with like, you know, Ogre Ursa could have smoked and be running down this lane and be ready to kill me if I'm like still there. So I just send my Manta Illusions just to be like extra safe. I feel like I can't afford to die right now while Puck is dead. And here's a pretty important moment in the game where we're not as 5. Puck's not here. They ended up Roshing, and I have no interest in joining this fight. Or even contesting Rosh in the first place. Like, Rosh is an objective, but I really had no interest in contesting because my team wasn't fully alive, right? I'm not interested in taking a 4v5. Post like 25 minutes in every game. The most important factor in team fights is whether you're with your team as 5. So like if we're ever, like none of the fights that we've taken that you've seen so far have been while my team is at a numbers disadvantage. They've like lost some heroes getting picked off like while their whole team's not there. I have not taken any engagement that was like a full fight that I intended to like fully fight their team that my whole team wasn't at. So here, my whole team's here. They're pushing with Aegis. And at this point, I'm really strong. I got my Butterfly with my Scotty. I've definitely fully overcome the net worth gap. When this video started, I didn't show up, but they were like 3 cores at like 11, 12, 13k net worth, and I was like 10k is the highest score on my team. So I've surpassed them now. And so they take this fight, and it doesn't really go well for them because I'm kind of huge, and that's just because I've been farming really efficiently. And obviously going with their throws, right? And I haven't tried to like force my limits too much. And I've just been really efficient with like staying on the map. So here we fully wipe them and run it down. So you notice like I'm not hitting a lot of jungle creeps unless there's no lane to push or I don't feel safe in a lane. Always just running straight down lanes as fast as you can. You know, here like Jug is pretty freaking fast. You just sprint down lanes. Here they're respawning. And this is an important play, I think. I make the decision here to TP top. And this is a little sketch because this can be a grief in some situations. So I want to talk about this TP. Like I said, this is only one of 3 TPs. The 2 other TPs I made were to defend like our high ground when I like wasn't close to our base when they were pushing. This is the 3rd TP I make this game. And I TP in, you know, clearing this wave so they know I'm here while my team's bottom. And my thought process is this. I want to relieve this pressure here. And I don't really care about immediately forcing this bottom tier 2. Like, it's not particularly important to me to like get this bottom tier 2 right now and like push right now. Even though we're like ready for a fight, right? Like, I feel like we don't need to force this bottom tier 2. And I want to like keep my farm up. And I also know that like me showing here does give the enemy team an opportunity to like run at my team, right? But my team wasn't like up here. They were further back already, so this felt a little safer. And as you'll see here, I clear this wave real quick, pop Manta Illusions, and immediately run back towards my team. because I know that my team is vulnerable to like getting caught and a fight starting while I'm not there. So I regrouped with my team immediately, and they played properly. I don't remember if I told them to do this. I probably told them to back. They played properly, like not looking for engagement, connecting back to me, so that we're as 5 now to start this next engagement. And this next engagement is what decides the game. Their Dawnbreaker just shows on this lane. For what reason, I do not know. I mean, pushing in the mid lane is important, but you know, they just didn't have any vision of us. And, you know, by this point, we're just massive. I almost die here, but I, you know, get my Manta off and, like, get into my ult, and drop my healing ward while I'm ulting. And my teammate actually killed Ursa without me. He got caught in like the Mars combo into the hoodwink, like max channeled ulti, and just took a bajillion damage and died. And I had ended this game with a Mjolnir. I don't think it really mattered what I had bought next. Mjolnir was just like for more damage. I felt like I was living long enough, and it was slot efficient. Like I could keep this windlace, which I liked having the whole game, and you know, still give myself my next marketing item. I was intending to go Ags next because I was like, it'd be really nice to like not have to, you know, commit my ult right away. They have things that like kind of get away from it in some cases, so that's what I was intending. But we do clean up the game here. So just to recap, the 5 things I talked about were my item choices and how I itemized. I prioritized move speed a lot, and then I needed survivability to prevent myself from getting bursted before I could get spin or omni slash off in fights. I talked about my farming patterns. I farmed away from their team when I, you know, pretty much at all times, I farmed away from the side of the map that their team was on, and I pushed straight down lanes, only doing jungle camps when it was like I could easily get to them without it being convenient, or if I was too afraid to like keep going down whatever lane that I had been pushing. And then sending Manta illusions down those lanes when possible. And then I only took fights as 5. There was like a couple small pickoffs that my team got that I contributed to, but I did not take any like big team fights unless my whole team was there. There was that fight at Roshan where you might think like, oh, you guys are coming back, you should have contested the Roshan. Like my puck was dead, and like I just didn't want to, you know, I don't want to take that fight. There's like a throwy fight, a 5-on-4 around the Roche pit. And then staying on the map, I bought a ton of clarities. It might have been hard to notice with how fast I was going through the replay, but I bought a ton of clarities, and after one fight, I bought 2 clarities and 2 mangoes. So after this fight, where we wiped them, completely wiped them, I was really low on mana, so I flew myself 2 clarities and 2 mangoes. This is later in the game, so, you know, I have a bigger mana pool. I've got a mana pool of 1,500. So I flew myself out 2 clarities and 2 mangoes. Just really important to keep yourself topped off. I also grabbed the Mjolnir. You know, I eat the mangoes right away. So I'm ready to like get them. I eat the mangoes right away, pop the clarity, and then put the windlace back to my inventory. And this is what keeps me like at full mana sustain and ready to fight. Because the really important thing is being as 5 for fights, but also being ready to fight when everyone could possibly happen. They're all respawned. I need to be able to like fight again like right now. In theory, if they like sprinted out of their base and started an engagement, right? Like I need to have that mana to be able to fight them. And the last thing was TP usage. I was just really careful with my TPs. I didn't make any dumb TPs. I TP'd once to defend my high ground. Once when we had taken that kind of really drawn out fight near their base, and I TP'd back to my tier 3 bottom and started pushing it out. And that last TP that I talked about where I TP top, pushed it out very quickly and then ran back towards my team to join them so we were 5 again. So that's how we came back in this game. I feel like I had a pretty huge impact after the, after those 2 deaths that I showed you in the intro. But that's how you can look to come back in these carry games where you're behind, all right? Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And if you're interested, I do coaching, so take a look at the Discord link in the description.